It's championship week in fantasy football, and I have a question for you. Is it possible to win your championship with a waiver wire pickup at this point in the season? Time for FF Champs on Football Nation. I'm Butch Stearns of the Pulse Network. He is Billy Enright of ffchamps.com. As usual, we're here every week with some advice. Billy, that's the question. Is it possible, if you're in your championship, with a waiver wire pickup to help you win your championship this week?
You know, that'll be really hard to do. By this time, week 16, the waiver wire is pretty bare bones. But you know what? If you're in a tough spot, it can certainly help be a deciding factor to maybe get a couple extra points from a player that you scoop up this week.
So, for example, go to the quarterbacks and give me specific examples about guys on the waiver wire that, again, and why you might pick them up and how they might help you win a championship.
So, the quarterbacks came out pretty unscathed in terms of injuries in week 15. The third, RG3 wasn't able to play for the Washington Redskins. So we saw Kirk Cousins, 329 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Browns. Now, if you're worried about RG3 not playing in week 16, then sure, you should have Kirk Cousins as his backup. Even if your league goes into week 17, you'll want to handcuff Kirk Cousins to RG3 because he showed us that he's capable of putting up some quality numbers against a pretty good pass defense, which the Browns have. Another quarterback that you may want to look at is Sam Bradford, based on his matchup for week 16. He plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a reliable quarterback that is pretty safe for a plug and play.
So let's go to running back. Say I'm one of those guys who's had wide receivers lead me all year, a defense, tight ends, quarterbacks, everybody but the running backs. I've been playing Russian roulette all year. So again, I'm in my championship. Are there guys out there I might consider picking up to start or put in a flex position?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start off with Danny Woodhead from the New England Patriots. We saw Stephen Ridley fumble against the 49ers. That landed him in Bill Belichick's doghouse. Woodhead came in, had 2 rushing touchdowns against a team that only let up 2 rushing touchdowns all season long. That's the San Francisco 49ers. So we saw him produce against a good run defense. And in week 16, he gets a weak run defense with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you're in a deep league, you need a flex spot, you're in a PPR format, Danny Woodhead's your guy. And then you have to mention that the Ryan Matthews injury. Earlier in the year, he broke his collarbone. That was in the summer. Now he broke his other collarbone. He's out for the remainder of the season. So that means someone out of this group, Curtis Brinkley, Ronnie Brown, Jackie Battle, are going to come in for Matthews and take over his workload. Not sure how much you can expect out of those guys. If it's a 3-headed monster, it's not going to be a whole lot. You may just want to be defensive and make the move just to prevent your opponent from scooping up one of those guys.
And for wide receivers, it seems you're sort of not necessarily recommending the waiver wire. You're saying look on your bench. There may be some guys there that are healthy now that you're not thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. The wide receivers in week 15, going into the week, there were a lot of injuries, a lot of concerns, a lot of questionable receivers. But coming out of the week, it seems like everyone's fine. Des Bryant looked good. Danny Amendola was able to play. Roddy White was a game-time decision. He came out fine. Cecil Short to the Jacksonville Jaguars was dealing with a concussion, but he came out unscathed. So that's good news for these wide receivers that may have been on your bench you weren't able to use in week 15. They look like they're going to be ready to go for week 16.
You got some interesting advice again for championship week and looking at the waiver wire. We talk so much about tight ends and that one guy might, give you that 1 week that's going to help you and you'd use it now. But defenses get overlooked in that debate, don't they?
Absolutely. We haven't talked about defenses a lot this year, but you know what? Championship weekend, every point matters. So here's 2 defenses that you may want to pick up. I'll start off with the Atlanta Falcons. They have a great upcoming matchup against the Detroit Lions in week 16. They just destroyed Eli Manning and the Giants. 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. They recovered a fumble. So I like their matchup in week 16 against Detroit. Falcons defense starting to get pretty hot. And then how about the Colts? Indianapolis, great plug-and-play option for week 16, and that's because they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, in week 15, KC couldn't score against the Oakland Raiders, who have one of the worst defenses in the league. So I like the Colts' chances of getting you some extra points, maybe a quick plug-and-play option for the championship weekend.
If you are alive at this point in the season, if you are playing for your championship, I encourage you to check out Billy Enright and the experts at ffchamps.com. Do your homework, take their advice, look at their rankings. You start doing your homework, you may just win your championship based on what ffchamps.com has for you.